You're 17. You're sitting in your cousin's apartment in Beirut's southern suburbs watching a soccer match when someone knocks. Your cousin opens the door. A man in his 30s walks in, clean beard, dress shirt, calm like a teacher, not like the guys who run the streets. He doesn't ask for you. He just starts talking to your cousin about the neighborhood, about families, about football, your furniture. 30 minutes later, he leaves. Your cousin says nothing. He comes back 3 weeks later. This time he brings sweets, sits longer, asks how you're doing in school, what you want to study, if you pray. Still doesn't ask you anything that feels like recruitment. Just friendly, just present. Your cousin vouches for him without saying a word, just by letting him in. You realize later this is the interview. You're being watched. I have been for months. They already know if you drink, if you chase girls, if you're serious. This isn't about selling you. This is about deciding if you're worth the pitch. It's 2019. Lebanon's economy is a burning dumpster rolling downhill. Your mom's a teacher. She hasn't been paid in 3 months. Your dad drives a taxi, but gas costs more than what he makes. The lights go out 6 hours a day. The garbage piles up in the streets because the state stopped collecting it. Your savings are in a bank you can't access. Your currency's worth toilet paper. You're 17 with decent grades and zero future. University's a joke you can't afford. Jobs don't exist unless you know someone, and you don't know anyone who matters. The man comes back a 4th time. This time he asks. And he doesn't say join Hezbollah. He says the resistance needs people like you. He talks about dignity, about not waiting for a government that abandoned you before you were born, about the Shia community finally having power after decades of getting stepped on by everyone. Sunnis, Christians, Israelis, Americans, whoever. He talks about your uncle who died in the 2006 war, says his name like he knew him. Maybe he did. He says there's a place for you if you want it, a salary, benefits, health care for your parents, respect, a purpose bigger than unemployment. You don't have to decide now. Just think about it. You think about it for 2 weeks while your mom cries over unpaid bills. You say yes. You don't sign paperwork. You don't get a contract. You just show up where they tell you. A building in Daye. And they take you to a room with 15 other guys your age, some younger, a couple older, all Shia, all from neighborhoods that look like yours. The instructor's a veteran, missing 2 fingers on his left hand, doesn't explain how, doesn't need to. He tells you this first phase is called tadirat, preparation, not military prep, ideological prep. You're here to learn why you're fighting before you learn how. For the next 6 months, you sit in rooms and listen. They teach you about Ayatollah Khomeini, about the Islamic Revolution in Iran, about Wilayat al-Faqih, the idea that the supreme religious leader isn't just a scholar, he's your commander, your guide, your entire political structure. You learn that Ali Khamenei in Tehran isn't just some guy, he's your Wali al-Faqih. What he says is law. What he commands is duty. And they teach you that the world is temporary, a test. The real life comes after, that your body's just a shell, and martyrdom isn't death, it's graduation. They show you videos of fighters in slow motion, explosions, funerals where thousands show up chanting. They make death look like a wedding. You also learn who to hate. Israel's the obvious one, the occupier, the colonizer, the entity. They don't call it a country. They show you footage of demolished Palestinian homes, dead kids, Gaza, the 2006 war where Hezbollah held off the IDF and became legends. They show you maps where Israel doesn't exist, just Palestine. They tell you America's the devil funding it all, that every bomb Israel drops has "Made in USA" stamped on it. You learn to see the world in clean lines, resistance versus oppression, martyrdom versus humiliation. You start to believe it, or maybe you just stop questioning it. Hard to tell the difference. After 6 months of this, you move to Intizam, commitment. Now it gets physical. You're bussed to a camp in the Bekaa Valley. It's not what you expected. No tents, no visible barracks. After Israel bombed the shit out of their training camps in the 90s, Hezbollah learned to hide. The facilities are underground or dug into hillsides, camouflaged, guarded by checkpoints where guys in fatigues check IDs and wave you through like you're entering a military base, which you are. The training's 33 days of hell. You wake up at 4:30 a.m. You run. You crawl. You carry heavy shit up mountains until your legs give out. They teach you how to shoot an AK-47, how to field strip it blindfolded, how to move through buildings without getting killed. Is how to recognize the sound of Israeli drones, how to plant an IED, how to navigate by stars when you don't have GPS, how to survive on nothing. You sleep in bunkers. You eat plain rice and canned beans. You do everything as a unit. No individual showboating, no complaints. You shut up and follow orders. One guy washes out in week 2. Just can't take it. Says his back's fucked. They let him go. No drama. He's not blacklisted. Just not cut out. You think about quitting too, around day 18 when your feet are shredded and you can't feel your shoulders anymore. But then you think about going back to Beirut with nothing. No salary, no respect, just another unemployed kid. So you stay, you graduate, they give you a certificate. No parade, no ceremony. Just a handshake and a congratulations. You're in. Now you get paid. And $500 a month. Doesn't sound like much until you remember Lebanon's minimum wage is $312 and most people aren't getting that anymore. Your family stops crying about rent. Your mom gets her medication. You start giving your younger brother money for school supplies. You're 18 years old and you're the financial backbone of your family. Feels good. Feels heavy. Feels like a trap you can't escape even if you wanted to. They assign you to a unit in the south. Not the elite guys, the Radwan force with their Tau missiles and anti-tank setups. You're regular Islamic resistance. You man checkpoints. You patrol villages near the border. You watch for Israeli infiltration. It's boring most days. You sit in a bunker playing cards. You smoke cigarettes. You pray 5 times a day because that's the deal. And you talk shit with the other guys. You become brothers in the way people do when they're bored and armed and stuck together. Some of your friends get tapped for Syria. The war there's been grinding since 2011 and Hezbollah's in deep, propping up Assad. They don't call it a war. They call it the work, or the job, because the shine's worn off. Nobody talks about martyrdom when they're getting sent to some shithole outside Damascus to fight Sunni rebels in street-to-street warfare. The ones who come back are different, quieter, meaner. They've seen what RPGs do to a human torso. They've learned Russian tactics from IRGC advisors. They've watched friends die badly. You don't get sent. Maybe you're lucky. Maybe you're not trusted yet. Hard to say. You stay in the south, watching Israel, waiting for something that might never come. And then 2024 happens. Nasrallah gets killed. Israeli airstrikes hammer Beirut. Half your commanders are dead. The guys you trained under, the ones who seemed invincible, are gone. Pagers explode. Walkie-talkies explode. Hezbollah's getting dismantled piece by piece, and you're still sitting in a bunker wondering if you're next. Morale's in the toilet. Guys stop talking about resistance. They talk about survival. But here's the thing. Hezbollah doesn't collapse. The money keeps coming from Iran. The social services keep running. The schools stay open. The hospitals treat people for free. Your salary still hits. Because Hezbollah's not just a militia. It's a state within a state. It's your government when the real government's a joke. It's your employer, your healthcare provider, your identity. You can't quit even if you wanted to because where would you go? Back to Beirut where the lights don't work and the banks are frozen and you're nobody? You're 19 now. You've been in for 2 years. You've fired your rifle at shadows. You've stood guard in the rain. You've mourned guys you barely knew. You haven't killed anyone yet. Maybe you never will. Or maybe tomorrow an order comes and you're in a firefight and everything changes. You think about the recruiter sometimes. The guy with the calm voice who brought sweets and asked about school. You wonder if he saw this future for you. If he knew you'd end up here, stuck between ideology you half believe and a paycheck you can't afford to lose. If he cared. You're sitting in the bunker. Your shift ends in 4 hours. There's a 17-year-old kid in Dehye right now getting the same pitch you got. Same calm voice. Same promises. Same trap. You want to tell him to run, but you won't, because you need him to say yes. The resistance needs bodies. The war machine needs fuel, and he needs money just like you did. The cycle resets. The recruiter knocks. And somewhere, another kid thinks he's choosing a future when really the future already chose him.